What's up? Rhyming Gaijin. Before I start this, let me start off by saying, how you been? What you been up to? How's life? How was Mother's Day to all the mothers and to all the people who have mothers? Did you take care of your mom? Did you call them, give them flowers? To all you single parent dads out there, did your kids act like it was Mother's Day, Father's Day? Alright, so it's been a minute. It's been a while since I posted. I posted last week, but that was just a little short thing. But now I'm situated. I'm in my room. Actually, you know what? This is one ugly background. Let me fix that real quick. Let me fix that. Let's see here. Something to set the mood. Something like, yeah, something like this, and then we'll put this right here, child. Put this like this. Oh, okay. Now we're back. Now we're back. Rhyming Gaijin with the background. Don't mind this. It's gotta iron it out, but that's how we're gonna do it. All right. So I had 3 days of training. 8 hours, man. They were working me, man. I haven't been working for like 6 weeks, so I had to get back into the swing of things. According to the people who trained me, they said I'm doing a good job. I mean, I am Rhyming Gaijin, right? I do gotta say though, there was this one girl. I mean, I shouldn't even say this because she might even watch me one day and be like, "You're talking." But I'm just saying, right? There was this one girl that was there, right? And the first day I met her, it was in the elevator. We were both going up to the same floor or whatever. And I was just like, blah blah blah. And she's like, she had a lot of issues, and rightfully slow, and she should, I guess. She just was just kind of nervous, anxious because it was her first time working. So I understand all that. And then, throughout the day, she was just kind of complaining about this and complaining about that and complaining about that. A lot of complaining. And, I know a few answers here and there. So she's like, how do I do this? And I wanted to say, check out my channel. I made a couple videos about that. But I didn't. And she even name dropped Cooney. She's like, before I came over here, I watched Cooney and he said this. And I wanted to be like, I know Cooney. I met him. I was just with him like last week. But I didn't. Because I just didn't. I don't know if she survived. And then, 3 days just complaining. And basically she was complaining about how difficult it is to get a bank account. How difficult it is to do this. And how she doesn't have a phone. And I'm thinking, this is the word you chose to come. No one sent you here, But anyway, it's not about her. Just saying, that was my experience. Also, today, so on the first 2 days, I had on my old suit from like 3 years ago. My old suit, because the suit was somewhere in some suitcase, right? So the first day is just like da-da-da-da. Second day, da-da-da. So third day, I put on my suit, go to work, and the guy who was training us was like, Matthew, you're looking very sharp today. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm kind of thinking, so what? I wasn't looking sharp yesterday? I was still wearing a suit. But, And then, I can't confirm or deny this. I don't know if it's true. But when I was coming home today, I was walking across the street. I saw these two girls, right? The one girl bowed to me like as if I was somebody, like a CEO of some international corporation. And then her friend bowed. It was just weird. But anyway, I didn't want to talk about that either. Just letting you know how training was. Training was crazy. I actually taught people today, man. But that's another. We'll talk about that later. What I want to talk about, this is the meat and bones of this video. Actually, before I even get to the meat and bones, I got fired. Yeah, pause for dramatic effect. Yeah, so I think maybe 3 weeks ago I said I'm going to work. I got a job. I had a part-time job before I started my full-time job. And I did the job and dude never called me back. And I'm like, whoa. And so I emailed like, hey, if you ever need me again, I'm here now. I moved. I'm down here. He never responded. And but I didn't want to talk about that either because we got some unfinished business. This is what I want to talk about. I want to agree to disagree, as it says in the title. That agree to disagree. And I'm kind of all over the place because I haven't made a video and I've been anxious. I've been sitting around thinking, what am I? So the last video I made, I said I want to become fluent in Japanese. I got a whole page full of responses. Some saying, how do you live in Japan and you don't speak Japanese, and all this type of stuff. The best one I got was from my niece. She's 14, 15. I'm sorry, I forget. 14, 15-ish. And she was like, Uncle Matthew, you mean to tell me you live in Japan and you still don't speak? It was so cute. She can do that because she's family and she's young. Young and family. But everybody else, I don't see where they're going with all this. So, some people are like, well, the comments are all there. I actually made this is a response video to that video, right? So read the comments, so to answer the question why I don't speak Japanese fluently, even though I am in Japan, the answer to the million-dollar question is because I am not Japanese. There you go. Now, I'm sure you're thinking right at that very second I finished the sentence, well, I'm not Japanese, as in referring to yourself, and I can speak Japanese. And so, and you probably know a lot of people. I know them too. A lot of my friends are not Japanese and speak Japanese. But that's my reason why I don't speak fluently. And then there's a whole list of other reasons too, which I listed in that video. No need to recap it. Watch it. Send a comment. So, basically what I want to do with this video and throughout the rest of the videos, because, in the time between that one and this one, and thinking, I was thinking that, well, just from all the responses that I got from that one email or video, I don't really talk about daily life in Japan. I talk about, what I do musically, and I might talk about some weird occurrence that happened. But I don't really go into, well, at 8:15 I did this and I talked, because I don't know, I didn't think that would be interesting. I mean, it is, but, you got a life. I want to hear about your life. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. It's just daily life. So I just try to condense into the things that, but as I said, it's been a while and I'm not editing. This is just right off the top. So the point is, I do speak Japanese. I speak it every day. I live in Japan. It's very difficult to go from point A to point B without uttering one word of Japanese, be it a konnichiwa or a sumimasen. Now, pronunciation-wise, yeah, I might not be the most perfect speaking Japanese person. That doesn't make sense. I might not be the most perfect person to be speaking Japanese. And maybe I should practice, but I'm not going to. Not now. I'm just rambling here, so deal with this. Alright, so I didn't put it in the other video because I didn't think it was information that needed to be said. I thought you're riding with the Rhyming Gaijin, but I guess some people don't know I have two channels, so they weren't there from the beginning. They just kind of came now, so I guess I got to go back a little bit. So about 4 years ago, when I first started teaching, so that's about 4 years ago, I came to Japan. It was my third time in Japan, and so the first time in Japan I studied abroad. I was at Temple University, Japan, and I was taking a class with my program. So one Japanese class on Japanese movies, and then another class on Japanese something. I was a communication major, so it was like that. So I studied Japanese then, So I learned my hiragana and my katakana. We didn't touch kanji for whatever reason. Or we did, but it wasn't stressed so much. So that was 4 years ago. Bam. I went home. I came back to Japan. Before I came back to Japan, I took another course at a community college to get me freshened up. Because I'm like, I should know some Japanese. But then that's getting ahead of myself. Before I even got to Japan, when I knew I was accepted into the program, I bought a book from Borders, I think, Barnes and Nobles, one of the two. Because I'm like thinking, if I'm going to Japan, I should at least know some Japanese words. So that's where I learned my konnichiwa and my konbanwa. My numbers, I didn't do hiragana. I didn't do anything. I just did greetings because that's all was in the book. I figured I need to know how to speak it. And I remember I was sitting in my room, and it said in the book that you need to say it out loud to get used to making mistakes. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting in my room, konnichiwa, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. Having my own fun. And then I went down in the kitchen, and my mom was like, konnichiwa. It was a cute time, So, go back. So now, and it's my second time, and I'm chilling. I was hanging out with one of the artists I was working with. She was Japanese. Her English was not so good, so we would record and talk in like kind of English Japanese. She would teach me words, I would teach her words, right? And it ended up I worked at her shrine, like her family owned a shrine or something, not like a temple, like an actual temple. And I was like cleaning leaves and what have you. So I was actually working under the table, but at a shrine. It was pretty cool. It was cold. I didn't like it so much, but it was money. I was actually there on New Year's, Christmas. That's why they hired me, because it's going to get busy. I didn't know all this then, but they hired me because it's going to get busy. People come, blah, blah, blah. It was cool. I used to put on my headphones and blah, blah, blah. At that time, on my iPhone, what was an iPhone? It was a Nano. There was no iPhones back then. There was a Nano. And on that Nano, I had all this Japanese hip-hop and J-pop and some enka. I didn't know it was enka. I just knew it. I found Japanese music. So I had all this, and I would just bop to it, listen to it, kind of get a feel for it. At that time, I found out about Crystal K, and I was pretty like happy about Crystal K because she's like mixed. And the one song I had, she was singing in English and Japanese, and the beat was like, I swore that this could have been played in or on MTV back in the States. And when I went home the second time, I showed people, or I played it. Listen to this track. This is a Japanese girl. Well, she's not Japanese. What is she? Korean? Whatever. You know who she is. I'm saying this is this girl, and she's mixing the music. So then I got this idea, like, if I can somehow figure out how to stay in Japan, then I can work on mixing the music. And I made some tracks. I did this one track with the artist I was working with, who worked at the shrine, her family. We did that track, and it worked. People loved it. It was reggae and Japanese. People loved it. And I felt really good, because I never heard anybody do that. And on my second trip, I met a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy. So then it turns out literally the last day, he's like, yo, come to this spot. I know this A&R, he's coming. He wants to hear you guys. I told him about you. So the girl and me, because we're doing this new kind of music. And I had to go. I had to hop on the plane. I could not extend my stay. Money gone. No more money. So I was kind of like bummed, There was my opportunity gone. And Eminem said it. You only got one chance to, the song. So then I'm sitting home, and I told the girl, yo, here's the music. Send it to Sony. All right. So we sent it, and we actually passed the second phase. They wanted to see us perform at the thing, but I was in the States, couldn't hop on the plane, because that's just how it was. So she went by herself and she just kind of did her parts and then stood there while the music played and I was rapping. They weren't really impressed with that, so that opportunity went. Phew. So then a year passed. Finally, I get my teaching job. I get back to Japan. The girl I was working with goes off to Paris. Right? So now I'm back in Japan, and all the contacts, all the things I made, they're gone. You know, I did email people when I was abroad, but a little side note, if you ever see this guy in the videos, what's this guy? David Whitaker. He's a musician. He has dreads. He's usually in, you know, a lot of my videos. He was the only person that contacted me when I was like, yo, how can I get back to Japan? Because most people did not respond back. It's like, you want to get back to Japan? Can't help. And that's, so anyway, now I'm back in Japan. I'm teaching. I got income. I'm ready to start knocking down doors and mixing the culture. So I'm thinking, you know, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need to have a very strong mastery. Is that even a word? I'm going to have to master the language ability in order to incorporate it more into my music. So I took a language class at Temple University, Japan. Because I got a little discount. Wasn't so much. It was like 3%, 5%. So I got my discount. And I'm taking classes. There's one guy from China, two people from China, this black guy and this white lady, and a blue person. I mean, color's not the issue, but you know, whatever. So there's 5 of us in class, and we had this teacher. There was 3 teachers. They rotated. So there was a young one who didn't know anything. There was a middle one who was really pretty, and then there was this old lady who was like had a doctorate in like a linguistic or something. Linguistics. So she was cool. So we're doing the class, and you know, Rhyming Gaijin. I wasn't a Rhyming Gaijin then. I was just a manifesto, and you know, I learned how to write manifesto in with the brush in katakana. Manifesto. But I didn't like how that sounded. No manifesto. I just didn't like it. And at that time, things were like, it was expensive. This class was expensive. I think it was 3 days a week for 3 hours. So I would work my 8 a.m. shift to 4, take an hour drive on the train, go to class, wait around for half an hour, and then it'd be 3 hours, and then it'd be another hour and a half back home. So I'd get home like at 1 a.m. But I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it, but I kind of, I don't know. I just figured I had to do this because I'm in Japan and I want to get further along in my endeavor. At the same time, I did ask all my music friends. I said, hey, what do you think I should pay all this money to go to the school and learn? They're like, no. Well, they didn't say no, but they're like, you know, you don't have to. You can watch movies. And they said all the suggestions that most people say, the free, passive ways. I mean, it works. But would you want a doctor who learned how to be a doctor from watching ER? Yeah, you know, I didn't really go to school. I just kind of watched ER and I practiced on a dummy, and I want someone who went to school for like 80 million years and has a little plaque saying that. But anyway, so I'm going to school, and you know, the first week was hard, the second week was hard, the whole time it was hard, but slowly it started to like, and then the first breakthrough is when I went to go shopping for my girlfriend, for my girlfriend. I went to the supermarket, and I'm like, excuse me, where is the bananas? Well, I said it in Japanese, right? And then the lady's like, oh, your Japanese is so good. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. How long have you been studying? I'm like, oh, I study. I was saying all this in Japanese. So I've been studying about 3 weeks. I study on Tuesday and Monday. And she's all like, wow, what's over? And I was like, wow. And I felt really happy. And then I would go to school, and my teacher would be like, "Okay, what's this? What's that?" And and anytime I would just use it. And when you put the little cards or whatever, I started to write like the verbs, right? Put all the verbs on the little cards, and I'd flip them over, right? So then I started to freestyle. I used to be like, look at the card. So freestyle. And I do this at like open mics and shows and whatever. And then I wrote a rap in Japanese. It was really bad. I'll play it. I'll put a link somewhere. It was bad. Funny, but bad. Because I only used the mask form. So it made sense in a general sense, but it didn't make sense. So when I was at class, I'm like, how comes my rap doesn't sound so good? And then the teacher was like, well, different forms, and they use slang, and I'm like, teach me. And she's like, okay, the next class I'll bring it. So that's that. I'm learning, and I'm slowly getting up because I'm paying the money. That's my whole incentive, or my whole drive. Since I'm paying for it, I might as well do it. Same with YouTube, right? Since I already bought the camera and I already been doing all this, I might as well make a video. So even if I don't want to make a video, I better put on a happy face and make a video. You know what I'm saying? But I'm learning it. I'm loving it. It's like McDonald's, right? So after the first term, they gave me a little piece of paper, which I lost. I lost my diploma too. So my thinking is always, it's just a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything. So I always lose it. But that's neither here nor there. So I lost the paper. I'm sure I have an email somewhere. But anyway, I lost the paper, but it says Matthew has completed 100 hours of intensive Japanese study. But at that point, it meant nothing because it didn't open any doors. It didn't. I mean, I had a girlfriend before. I had a girlfriend during, and I never thought, like, I never needed Japanese to do the things I was doing before I started studying. If I'm lost, I find a way. So this goes back. I'm jumping, but this goes back to the other girl, and this goes back to my thinking, and you can go back to another point. But the point is, if you're gonna do something, you're gonna do something, regardless of if you can speak it or not. But at this time, at this point of the story, I was speaking it, and I was all gung-ho about it. I'd even watch some videos. Not too many, but I would. But not too many. That wasn't my thing, because I don't watch videos, right? So the second semester, I'm like, well, it was a 3-term thing. So I'm like, I'm going to do it again. I forked over 1/3 of the money. I just didn't have all this money. So I fork over 1/3, and I come back to class, and it went from literally, okay, here's your hiragana, we knew that. Here's your katakanas, we know that. I mean, they started talking about the months of the day and the months of the day. The month and the day, the kanji, and whatever. But then in the second class, they went from, okay, here's that, to you should already know 100 kanji. And I was like, whoa, how am I supposed to? Because the other students, the Chinese students, this is what I was saying. The Chinese students, they already had a base on kanji. They, kanji is Chinese, or whatever, the first form. So they already knew it. They were good. And the black guy, his job was paying for it, and he was taking lessons at his work. So he's been keeping up with the thing. Me, I was all like fresh off the boat. I felt like I was falling behind, so I quit. Because up until that point, it's still nothing has became anything because of studying Japanese. And I'm like, shit, whatever, great. Because this is what will happen. I go to the club, and I'll be chilling. I'll be like trying to have this conversation with this girl in Japanese, and she's like, why are you speaking Japanese? Because I'm like, because I'm practicing. And she'd be like, why speak English? And I'm like, well, cool. What it do? Like that. So really no incentive. I didn't really like the way that the Japanese rap that I produced sounded like. And I didn't really like the Japanese rappers that I heard rapping at that time. at now, presently, I hear a lot of Japanese rappers, and I'm like, yeah, wow, that's impressive, dope. Let's collaborate. But at that time, it was like 3 years ago. Nobody was really impressing me to make me whatever. So then, sorry, I'm just going on. I'm gonna make a long ass video just cause I can. All right, so wow, I just lost my background. I think that's a good place to stop my video. We're gonna stop it right here. All right, part 2 coming soon. The story of why Rhyming Gaijin doesn't speak Japanese fluently. Dun dun dun. That's not even that. All right, peace.